It's time for Design Appeal, and today we're joined by Master Gardener Ed Sourdiffe, and we are going to have some gardening tips. Ed, thank you so much for stopping by today.
It's good to be here.
You can smell, everyone around can kind of smell the studio already because we're discussing citrus.
These are the citrus plants I brought in today to show that people can actually have citrus plants in New England, and they really do work out well. Right here you see a Caracara orange, and here's the orange growing right here. It's not quite as large as it will be, and it will get nice and orange, and you'll be able to eat this. This is actually a small myrtle leaf orange. I had brought this on before. This one's more of an ornamental orange. It'll have small oranges, but it's very pretty. You can use this as bonsai.
So not clementines, but just small oranges.
Yeah, sometimes they're just a little bit too tart, but they're all just about edible.
Now, let's talk ideal growing conditions. If you want to incorporate citrus into your landscape or interior of your home, what do you need to do it?
Well, if you're going to have them in the house, you're going to want as much sun as you can possibly get. So what I would do is I would actually put them in a very south window. You can actually do artificial lighting, but a south window is probably the best thing for them. Keep them nicely moist through the winter. Let them dry out just a little bit in between. You don't want root rot. And try to keep them at least at 50 degrees and above in the winter.
So you want to let them dry out a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit, because if they're always soaking wet, and if it's a little bit cooler weather, that will actually help the roots to start rotting.
You know, Ed, because usually the moment my plants dry, I'll water them again because I think they need it. But so you give them what, maybe a day or two?
Well, no. When you put your finger in there and they feel dry to the touch, that's exactly when you should be watering.
Oh, well, then
so
I've
you're
been right
doing
this
the right
whole way.
thing. Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah, and then and in the winter you don't really want to fertilize them that much because they're not going to be taken up. They're going dormant. These guys have not put on any new growth since last year, but actually towards the end of January, when you notice that the days are getting a little bit longer already, the plants are going to notify you that, because they will also all start sending up some new shoots, so you'll be able to see that. And they'll actually start blooming. This one is going to be blooming in a few weeks here, and that's one of the other reasons you really want to have oranges in your house, because when they do bloom, they have the most amazing fragrance. They have a beautiful big waxy white flower, and it just smells like perfume and oranges mixed up, and you smell it throughout the entire house, so it's a really great thing to have.
Huh.
And of course you get the edible fruit later, which is kind of cool.
That is nice. So a tree like this, how big is it going to get, and what's it going to really yield?
Well, it's going to get, it can probably get about 4 feet tall. These are all dwarfs. They're not the big ones that you would see out in the fields.
Yeah.
They're specially designed for people to have in the home or on the patio. So they won't get that large. And you can actually prune them too later on in the season. This one I actually brought in today to show some of the problems that can happen with a citrus. This one, if you look up close, you'll see that the leaves are very shiny, almost like it was just wet.
Yeah, moist. Yeah, they're glossy.
That's because this tree, and these are actually a friend of mine, Chris. Mine are too big at home. I couldn't bring them in. They're like 5 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
But she was nice enough to give me these. But this one actually has a little bit of a mealybug problem, and that's one of the indications. Is if you see this sap, it's actually the sap from the tree that's coming out onto the leaves, and it actually feels sticky. So a good way, you'll see little masses of mealybugs in the corners. They would be, they look like little cotton balls, really tiny ones. And so a good way to get rid of that is you can actually go in there with a little rubbing alcohol.
And this is safe for the plant to put alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol.
Really?
It's just regular rubbing alcohol. And then you would see the little mass somewhere. You would dip it, your Q-tip in, and you would just swab away that little mass. And then that would actually go away. This actually works if you see scale. Scale's like a little bump on the trunk, and it's a little brown bump or green bump, and you would just go like this, and it would come right off with this, because the alcohol actually dissolves the a waxy cuticle that the scale would have, so they come off really easily.
But it doesn't damage the tree.
No, and then all I would do after is I would just actually give it a shower. In the shower, and the good thing to do with that is... You
said in the shower. Do you mean like you'll take a shower with your plant?
No, I will not be in the shower.
Okay. You'll put your plant in the shower.
There's not enough room for two of us.
No, exactly. It's a one-person shower.
We're one plant shower.
Yeah, it's a one-plant shower, and don't bring multiple plants.
No, and so just bring it in, have your water on warm, and I actually put a little tent around the top of it because the soil would splash out into your shower, and just let the warm water run all over it. You could actually tilt it, and that'll rinse off anything that you put on, and actually healthy for the plant. And the more you keep them nice and clean without the dust, which would actually inhibit photosynthesis, it'll actually help keep the bugs down too.
Yeah, it stimulates rain too, makes them think they're outside.
Yeah, it does actually, it really does.
And so lastly, over here we have one large plant, but something interesting about this, there's a stump here. It seems like it's been cut.
Yeah, this is a Myers lemon, and actually last year, to show you how resilient these plants really are, towards the end of winter it had lost all its leaves, and so what my friend did, she actually cut it back, and you can see there's actually this.
Right
I don't know if we
there.
have to turn it to the camera. Oh, watch your face.
Oh, yeah, these have thorns on them.
Yeah, they
folks,
do
in
have
case you
thorns.
buy some.
And actually, if you do have these plants, you find the thorns, you can cut off the thorns. And that's not a problem. But what she did, she cut it off and she actually threw it outside. And I told her to, no, go run outside. I think it spent the night outside in April. And grab it, bring it back in, and see if it's still alive. And I told her what you do. All you do is take your fingernail on something that has a woody stem like this, and you'll actually just pull down on the bark.
Scrape the bark.
Yeah, and I don't know if the camera can see it. I don't want to scratch you.
Oh, perfectly. Yeah, don't move a muscle.
Yeah, right here, I just scraped it, and you can see it's still green under there. So right underneath the bark, it's green. That means this whole plant was alive, so she just cut back the rest of the branches that were dead, and it came back.
Pretty
and
cool.
actually this morning, until I started bringing it here, it was all full of little
Say, check these out.
little baby lemons, Meyer lemons, but I knocked them all off for her, so, you know.
Can you eat these Myers lemons?
Yes, yeah, you can. They're just the regular lemons you would get at the store. They're small, they'll keep growing, but yeah.
Well, these are some pretty good-looking lemons. Ed, thank you so much for stopping by with these citrus care tips. I didn't know you could have citrus plants inside your home.
You should try it.
I think I just might. I think I have myself a new hobby. And if you want any of these tips, you can always go online to mymassappeal.com later today.